welcome to month 6 of the Gateway. Welcome back. As usual, I'm super excited to see you here. And I've got to say to you this month, I'm really just going to do a bit of a consolidation. I've spoken to a bunch of you over the phone and also over email. And I really get that this is a whole new way of being. And it's a whole new way of thinking and seeing ourselves. And I really do understand that it does take a mental shift and an emotional adjustment to be able to ask and ponder the questions that we threw up last month. Let's revisit last month. Let's look at what we spoke about very, very briefly. Last month, we pondered the question of, who am I? And most importantly, where am I? Because if we cut you open, and we take you to hospital and we do some surgery, you're not in there. You're not in there. They don't find your soul in there, and they don't find the essence of you in there. They don't find your personality in there with all of your quirks and idiosyncrasies. They don't find any of that in there. All they find is a mechanical machine that walks, talks, has the vocal cords, but they don't find the driver of the voice. They find the legs that move, but they don't find the driver of the legs. They find the brain, but they don't find the instigator of thought. So if the brain is just left to its own devices, all it is a piece of grey matter. It's an interesting concept. They find kidneys and they find liver and they find heart and they find lungs. But they don't find the life force that determines the intelligence of how each one of those organs actually functions. They don't find where and who it is that tells the kidney to filter the bloodstream. They don't find that. They don't find the liver, and they find the liver, but they don't find the driver of who tells the liver how to cleanse and detoxify the body. They don't find the driver of the lungs that tells the lungs how to breathe you and how to beat your heart. They don't find any of that. Which is what makes us ask the question of, where are we? Because if they cut me open, I'm not in there. And last month we also looked at what we are, in fact, is a whole series of cells that have all come together. And when we dive down deep into each of those cells microscopically, all we see is cells that are vibrating. All we see is an energetic exchange, an energetic vibration. And we also looked at the fact that vibration last month is just simply the on-off, 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 but quickly, on-off, 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 on-off. And depending on the matter, whether it's a kitchen bench, a back fence, a camera, a set of lights, regardless of what it is, or it's a person, the frequency at which the energy vibrates, the speed at which the energy vibrates, determines the role that that particular piece of matter exists and plays. See, I'm a human being, so my vibration and your vibration is very quick, really, really quick. Yet my back fence is inanimate and its vibration is quite slow. So, depending on the role that the piece of matter, being a person or an inanimate object or an animal or a piece of grass or a rose, depending on the role that that particular piece of matter plays, determines the frequency and the speed at which that piece of matter vibrates. What we looked at last month was how we can access the off. And we looked at the wave scenario when I was explaining to you on the whiteboard here last month how we've got the waves, and the deeper we go in meditation, the more quiet our mind becomes. See, here's another really interesting part, is that it's the mind's inclination to seek the depth and the quiet. It's the mind's inclination to want to go there. Because when we go into meditation, it almost feels like a sense of relief. Almost feels like a sense of thank goodness. Now, yeah, there's lots of thoughts. I mean, there's lots of busyness that goes on and which takes us back up to the choppy waves. And that's just natural. That's just part of being human. We're out all day, every day, doing stuff, making things happen, creating our lives, interacting with other people, going to the bank, doing our grocery shopping, worrying about our kids. We're doing stuff all day. So it's only natural that when you actually stop doing and you just sit, it's only natural that the mind will continue in the state of doing. That's very, very natural. Now, the minute we try to cage that or try to control all of that doing activity that goes on in the brain, the minute we try to control that, we're resisting it, thinking it shouldn't be that way. And we all know already that whatever we resist persists. So all we have to do is sit and allow the mind to go on whatever journey it wants to go on. Just let it be free. Stop the need to control. Stop the need to interfere. And I'm going to talk more about that in a second. But in the meditation, part of the meditation is your willingness. It's your willingness to let go and let it be. Because the more you let go and let whatever thoughts are there, the more you let go and let them be, the more freedom the mind has to find its way down to the depths of quiet. But whenever you're struggling and straining in the thought and wishing it wasn't like that and getting frustrated and irritated, and trust me, I know what that's like, because I do that still now, and I meditate twice a day. And sometimes I'll sit down to meditate and I'll think, damn, I keep thinking, I wish I wasn't thinking anymore. And the moment I have the thought of, I wish I wasn't thinking anymore, I think, oh my God, look at me, I'm resisting. Just let go. Just let go. And in the magic of letting go, the mind finds the freedom to come to the depths. It might take a little bit longer, but hey, this is you connecting with you. Let go. Just be free with it. Now, as an additional gift to you, this morning I sat down and recorded a meditation for you. So below this video, scroll down and you'll find an Audio Acrobat MP3 downloadable meditation. It's simply the I Am meditation, and I'm just talking you through it. So for those of you who are still struggling to actually do it, and those of you who are struggling with the process of it, I'm just talking you through the beginning parts of the meditation, just to get you into the flow. So download this to your MP3 player or your iPod, and do the meditation anywhere where you can find peace and some quiet. And you really want to try and do it before you eat in the morning and before you eat in the evening. It's only 10 minutes. We're going to work our way up to 20 minutes. So next month I'm going to record a 15-minute meditation, and then the following month I'll record a 20-minute meditation. And then beyond that, we're going to have a look at meditation that allows us to access what's sitting inside of our hearts, so that we can start to get that communication if you're not getting it already. But there is some communication that's yours to hear inside of your meditation and also outside of your meditation. See, what I found was that in my meditation, and still today, because each meditation is different, but what I found was that I would go into my meditation, and probably 1 in every 10 meditations I would find that beautiful, deep, quiet place where I would sit at the bottom of the ocean where there was just nothing. And I would find that 1 out of 10 meditations. Now, I didn't get any messages while I was there, and I didn't experience anything other than a deep sense of peace and relaxation. But when I came back up and out of my meditation, it was in my activity throughout the course of the day that my immense clarity and new thought was born. So I think that the whole meditation process is about releasing and letting go all of the traffic that takes place for us mentally. And in those moments where we do let go, it allows for new thought to be born. It allows for new creativity to come to the surface, which will then allow us to make sense of it throughout the course of the day. You know, there's a whole lot more going on in the mind and in the quantum fields and in that infinite intelligence and that ultimate creativity that lies in the 0 point field. You know, there's so much more going on in there, which we're going to talk a little bit about today. Now let's bring us back to the questions that we were asking last month. And the questions being, who are we? What are we? And where are we? And you know, while I was working on the notes for this particular video this month, I was writing that down and I thought to myself, why are we even bothering to ask the question? Why even bother? Because at the end of the day, all that's going to end up happening is we're going to live our lives, do our thing, and then we're going to die. So what's the point of it all? What really is the point? If at the end of the day, we're just going to land up in a box anyway, so who cares? You know, stop stressing out, just whatever. And as I was sitting there thinking all of those thoughts, I very quickly got the distinction as I put my head in my hands. I thought, what for? But I very quickly got the answer as I sat there, and the longer I sat there, the answer came like a blinding flash of the obvious. And I know that you feel the same way because we're in the gateway together and we are on this journey together. But the reason that we ask those questions is because there is an answer. Think about that for a second. You wouldn't have the inclination to ask the question if there was no answer. You ask the question, what am I here for? Who am I? And what's my purpose? What's the meaning of life? Now, if there was no answer to the question would never even be considered. Does that make sense? It wouldn't even be considered. Do you think that my kitchen cupboards ask what the meaning of life is? No, because there's no answer to that for them. But for us, being sentient beings, there is an answer to that. And we go looking for the questions, we go looking for the answers, because they exist. But for most people, they don't know how to find the answer. Now, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I will do whatever it takes to find the answers. Because this journey is not about getting to the end of my days and then just, you know, life being over and me dying. You know, there's got to be more to it than that. You know, I honestly believe we are not a mistake. We are not some random creature that is supposed to live a life at the random mercy of life's ebbs and flows. It's not supposed to be like that. There's far more to it. And we haven't searched long enough and hard enough for the answers to get them. But I want to share something with you that I've never shared before, so you're the first to hear about it. And I know that I can trust you with it, which is why I decided to share it today. You know, when I came out of Bali, and I think it was the second day that I was at home in Sydney, and I woke up in the morning and I had this unbelievable sense of peace and calm. And I've got to say to you, right the way through the whole time that I was in hospital in Bali and the doctors were telling me I was going to die, etc., I had unbelievable peace, incredible sense of peace and calm. There wasn't one moment where I felt nervous or scared or out of control, not one moment. And it's hard to imagine that because you think that it's such a traumatic experience, but when you're actually in it, it's nowhere near as traumatic as what it is when you're imagining what it would be like for someone else. So for me, I was very peaceful, I was very calm, and I was extraordinarily clear. And the second day that I was home, I remember sitting down with my mum and dad, and I had my brother and my sister there, and I grabbed them with such intensity. And I said to them, I know who you are. I've seen it. I know who we all are. We're all the same. And my mum and my dad and my brother and my sister looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, don't worry, I know who we are. I know who we're supposed to be. We're all aspects of God. We're all angels. And the only reason we don't know is because we've lost our wings. But we're all angels. And angels can do anything and be anything and have everything. Angels have got all the power. They're aspects of God. I know it, and I know that's who we are. We just don't treat each other like that. And we don't relate to ourselves like that. Now, you know, I knew that. Like I know the sky is blue, and the clouds are white, and the roses are red. I knew it so profoundly. And then life took over. 2-3 years down the track, life took over. I was, got caught up in my depression and feeling sorry for myself and, living in a life and in a world that I felt I had to manipulate in order to get what I wanted. I had to be influential. I had to seek for attention. I had to be depressed. I had to do all of this stuff in order to manipulate life so that it would give me what I wanted. Now, you may not have been depressed, but does it sound familiar? Where you felt that you've had to try and manipulate life in order to give you what you want? You've had to be the chief manipulator and the chief influencer in order to create a kind of life that you want, and that is hard, bloody work. It is hard work, no doubt about it. Nothing short of hard work. But you could use whatever language you want to use. If you know me, you know that I am a spiritual person, but I'm not religious. And to me, God is what represents universal life force, source, the very stuff of essence of life. To me, the language that I use is God. You can use any language you use, the universe, whatever it is for you. And it does have to be right for you. Everybody has their own frame of reference around what that power is. So for me, I just use the words God, but please just replace it with whatever works for you, okay? So I looked at what I knew in Bali, and I look at what I'm discovering now, and they're one and the same. The only difference is in Bali, I didn't know how I got that information. I didn't know how I knew what I knew, but I knew it like the sun's shining every day. I knew it. Now I know it. And I know how I know it. I know how I know it because I've discovered the recipe, because I've gone in search of in search of the answer to the question of who am I? I want to know who I am because I don't believe that our lives are random, and I don't believe that anything that happens in my life or your life is a mistake. Not one thing is a mistake. Everything is purposeful. So if that's true, just imagine, pretend with me for a moment that that is true. I got blown up in Bali, somebody else has breast cancer, somebody else, has a partner that commits suicide. Everything has a purpose. Now, and we've got two choices around that. We can believe that all of that is random, we have no control over it, we are completely powerless in our own lives, and therefore at the random effect of everything and everyone. Completely no control. We can live like that, and most people actually do live that way. But what if for a moment we were to believe that all of those things happen for a reason? Just for a moment, try it on. Everything in your life, everything, good, bad or indifferent, everything has been purposeful. Nothing has been a mistake. If that's true, who's driving the bus? Who is determining what occurs in our lives? Who is it? Who determines that I get blown up? Who determined that I be with Greg, a man who's going to commit suicide? Who determined for Greg that that would actually be the way his life on this earth would end? Who determined that? What determined that? And this is what I want to share with you this month, is that there is a grander life force driving all of us and everything. And this is just one way of seeing life. But when you see life like this, it works. And I'm living proof of it, because I'm living everything before I share it with you. So I'm going to tell you how I know. But bear with me for a second, because I am going somewhere. There is a life force that's driving everything, that drives the bombing, that drives cancer, that drives illness, that drives wellness, that drives profitability, prosperity, excitement and enthusiasm. A life force that drives your kidneys. A life force that functions your brain. A life force that beats your heart, blinks your eyes and breathes you. A life force that renews your cells in your skin, changes the lining in your stomach, has your blood flow in a certain direction. A life force that brings the sun out every morning, that spins the earth on the axis and blooms a rose. A life force that breeds a puppy, that grows a baby, miraculously grows a baby, miraculously grows the grass, blows the wind, creates the clouds, makes the waves in the ocean, drives the salmon upstream for miles and miles to return to the place of its birth so that it can spawn new salmon, and in doing that it dies. What life force drives that? What's the life force driving the caterpillar to form a chrysalis, liquefy, consume itself, recreate itself, and 3 months later land up as a butterfly flying on the breeze? There is a life force behind everything. Now here's the part that I find most fascinating. We don't interfere with any of that. We don't interfere with the caterpillar. We don't interfere with the chicken. We don't interfere with babies being born. I mean, science does experiments, but on the whole, we don't interfere with that process. We don't interfere with the way that our hearts beat, our lungs breathe us, that our eyes blink and our hair grows. We don't interfere with that. Why on earth do we feel it's necessary to interfere with the activity that takes place in our lives then? Because if there is a more powerful force that can make my body function, that can create life itself, what makes me think I am more powerful than that? So imagine this. I'm born, I come into this world, I grow up a little bit, I discover what language is, and then all of a sudden I look up and I say, well, you know, universe, God, whatever you are, you know, thanks for making me, you know, great job for the last 9 months, and thanks for, you know, giving me the intellect for language, like thanks for all of that. But you know what? I reckon I'm going to take over from here. You know, what I'm finding, you're just not quick enough. You're not bringing me what I want, when I want, how I want it, and as quickly as I want it. So can you just step aside? And you know what? As for this beating my heart and breathing my lungs and making my organs work, I reckon I'm going to do a much better job than you. And those roses, they're not coming out quick enough, and I don't see enough of them. So I'm just going to take over because I don't like the sound of the waves either. And the wind, far too gusty. So, you know, step aside for a sec. I'm going to take over because I really don't know that you know what you're doing. You know, nice try, but sorry, kind of didn't work out. Now, that is so ridiculous. It doesn't even bear further explanation, does it? So if I'm not prepared to interfere with the way that life functions here on this planet and on this earth and inside of me, if I'm not prepared to interfere with that because I know that's beyond me, little old me, I couldn't handle everything. I couldn't handle everything that happens in this life. So if I'm not prepared to do that, then what on earth makes me think that I need to do that with my own life circumstances? Why do I need to interfere? I don't need to interfere because my life is happening independently of what I say about it anyway. My life is happening independently of that. You know, those events that occurred in my life occurred and were always going to occur. And there are people who have so many different things happening in their lives, and those things are purposeful. Now, we can look at life as if they're not, which renders us powerless. But we can look at life as if they are purposeful and they are there to teach us something and they are there for a reason. And then that gives us back a level of control, responsibility and potency in our life. Now, if we live with potency, our life is far more effective and life feels more peaceful and great for us than if we feel like we're just at the random mercy of events which occur. And if we were just at the random mercy of events which occur, then it would almost make us null and void, like some kind of a mistake, you know, like really just a mistake. And you are not a mistake. None of us are a mistake. It's purposeful. There's no mistakes here. So if we're to look at our lives and everything that occurs in our lives as meaningful, to elevate us, to have us expand, to have us ask more questions, to have us find ourselves, find the meaning of life. You know, everybody that comes out of a traumatic experience, everybody comes out of their traumatic experiences transformed on some level. Asking the question, what am I here for? Everybody. And you don't even have to have a traumatic experience to ask the question. But there are so many people out there now asking the question, what's it all for? Why am I here? And there are those few who go in search of the answer. Because a lot of us have asked that question hundreds of times and done nothing to find the answer. What's the point? Ask the question, find the answer, find the peace, find the potency, find the meaning of life and the purpose. And you find your clarity, you find your direction. But you don't just get to ask the question once, because your life is a constant evolution. As life is a constant evolution around you, your life's experience is a constant evolution if you allow it to be. So in asking the question today, what am I here for? Why am I here? Who am I? Where am I? And what am I doing? We're starting to get a glimpse of it. We're starting to get a glimpse of who we are. Because who we are is not just a skin bag of skills. Who we are is a living, breathing human being who does have a say, who does have the ability to control, who does have the ability to be potent. But we have the ability to be potent when we get where we are and what we are. See, because we're not just a skin bag of skills, we are a being. We're a being that is being driven by a grander life force. We're a being that is being driven by a grander life force. Our job is to go with the flow. Don't resist. Don't fight it. Don't push against it. Don't wish that things were different. Because the moment we do that, we're putting our power in the wrong direction. Life does not bring us what we want. Life brings us who we are. Life brings us who we are. And if we're being objectionable, resistant, miserable, lousy, cranky, upset, frustrated and irritated about life, because it just doesn't happen the way we want it, it just doesn't happen quick enough, it's just not what we want. It's because we're trying to create an outcome that's not right for us. We're trying to create something that is in contravention of what life has in store for us. And if this life is able to breathe you, beat your heart, blink your eyes, don't you think it knows better than what you do? Don't you think this life can provide you, this life force can provide you with something far grander than what you can even imagine? What you can even conceive of? But while ever you keep hanging on to that belief that you're right and life is wrong, you're right and life is wrong, you're going to live a very uncomfortable, dissatisfied and frustrated life. Now you know where that path leads you because you've been down it for years. It's predictable. You know it. At the end of it is failure on some level. Some ecstatic experiences, but ultimately more failures, more frustrations than ecstatic. True or true? So you know what that path is. But this path of letting go and just letting life be life. Let life express itself through you. And your job is to be 100% committed to who you are. And if you're frustrated, irritated, mentally disturbed and mentally exhausted about the fact that life isn't right for you, then the kind of person that you're being around that is somebody who's going to create more of that, more of the same of that frustration. And then you die. Alternatively, you can be somebody who's excited, enthusiastic, prepared, willing to let go. Let go. And trust that there is a grander driver, a much smarter driver, much more powerful driver. Just try it on. You can always go back to frustration anytime you want, but just try this on. Your job is to be committed and resolute to evolution, cleaning up anything that's messy. Just be committed to your evolution, your growth, your magnificence, your brilliance, your peace, and let life unfold as life will unfold. And you watch, mark my words, because in the last 2 weeks, or 4 weeks now, that I've been letting go and trusting that life has far greater insight to what's right for me than what I do, I can tell you I'm eating better, I'm sleeping better, my bank account has never looked as healthy, I have more self-confidence and more peace than what I've ever had in my entire life. And you know what else is magical? I have more clarity than I ever imagined I would ever have. So the minute we take our grubby little paws off, stop interfering, and we just concentrate on our own individual evolution and let life be, let life have jurisdiction. Let the universe have jurisdiction over your experience. Let God have jurisdiction over your experience. Get out of the way. Let go. That's when you're going to start to experience a magnificent life. So how do you get there? You get there through agreeing that there is a grander life force, understanding that there is a grander life force, taking your grubby little paws off and stop interfering with the way you think it should be, and trust that whatever it is right now in this moment is exactly how it's supposed to be. So let go of all the expectation that it should be different. Trust that what you have right now is exactly how it's supposed to be. And then put your energy into meditation, connecting with that life force, connecting with the off, connecting with the soul, the universal field, the unified field, where all originates and all returns. Meditate so that you can get back to that. You can experience what that feels like. Because I can tell you one thing hand on heart, over the last 4 weeks, I've had more experiences of that sense of me, that connected me, that sense of soul, the off. I've had more experiences of being connected to that throughout my day, because I'm simply connecting with intensity at either end of my day. So I'm connecting with intensity at the morning when I'm doing my meditation, and I'm connecting with intensity at the afternoon when I do my meditation. But throughout the course of the day, I'm more aware of that connection than I've ever been in my entire life, which makes it so much easier to let go, because I know who I am. So it's my wish for you that you have the same level of clarity about who you are, what you are, where you are, and why you're here. My wish for you is that you have that same level of clarity that I have. And you have that clarity with a sense of peace and a sense of calm, because you've met yourself. You've met yourself in the meditation. You've gotten really clear on who and what you are, because you've connected with the real you. The you that you were always meant to be, so that you can continually see yourself as an evolved and expanding human being, but not with struggle, not with strain and pain and guilt and difficulty, but to have yourself be an evolved, creative human being with peace, enjoyment, excitement, because that is what your life was meant to be. Your life was not meant to be a string of disasters or a series of disappointments. It just was never meant to be like that. And our life is only like that because we think we have control over it. And we think that we have to fight with it and we have to struggle with it. We don't. If only we knew this back then, life would have been much easier for us. So let go. Connect with yourself. Put your attention into your meditation over these next 4 weeks. I'm going to look so forward to talking to you on the next call. But in the meantime, just enjoy. Get to know yourself, reconnect with yourself. And I'll look forward to talking to you on the 15th. Take care. Bye for now.